Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanMuscle.com, and today we're taking a closer look at listening to and installing the Roush Axleback exhaust with black tips, available for the 11 to 14 V6 Mustang. Now, as you just heard from our sound clips, I'm giving this guy 4 out of 5 on our loudness meter as far as axlebacks go. Now, of course, the disclaimer here is an axleback won't produce as much volume and depth as a full catback, but this is a great cost-effective way to beef up the sound profile of your Mustang. This axleback from Roush is one of the louder, more aggressive axlebacks in the category, short of maybe a Corsa Extreme or a Borla Attack. This is a one-chambered muffler that's going to give you a lot of sound output. There's a little bit of drone inside the cabin, but it's not too overwhelming. At highway speeds, you might get a little bit more, so just keep that in mind. At red light to red light, normal daily driving, you'll get a deep, aggressive rumble with this, and you even get some backfire around 2,000 to 3,000 RPMs. Of course, at wide open throttle, it's at its absolute loudest, as you can assume. That's something you want to keep in mind here as well. Once you start hitting the throttle, it's going to be an all-out bark. Now, the nice thing about this Roush axleback here is that it's made from a 409 stainless steel, meaning it is a little bit more corrosion and rust resistant than some of the aluminized cheaper options out there, but it's not going to be as expensive as a full 304 stainless, which is the highest quality in the category. Great best of both worlds. Perfect for daily drivers and perfect for guys located in wintry weather areas like we are here on the East Coast. We all know that salt in the winter months can take a toll on the underbody of your vehicle, especially the exhaust, so 409 holds up in the long run. Now, this one is black tips. The tips here are 4-inch slash-cut double-walled, so they're thicker than factory, and we'll take a closer look at that later on in the video. The black powder coating on top of the 409 stainless is going to beef up that durability, the corrosion and rust resistance, and it adds a nice stealthy look to the rear end, which is blending in nicely with our factory black paint here as well, but matches really nicely with any OEM color. Now, if you're not into the black and you want something a little bit more classic, like a polished tip, Roush does have that available in the category as well, just personal preference. Price tag for this guy comes in right around 600 bucks. Install, I'm giving 2 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. Anybody can tackle this in the driveway at home with about an hour, maybe 2 from start to finish, depending on your experience. All it requires are very simple hand tools. There's no cutting, no welding, no drilling. It's a direct bolt-on. I'm gonna show you guys every step of that process. Let's get started. Tools used in the install include an impact gun, an extension, a ratchet, 13 and 15 millimeter deep sockets, hanger removal tool, and a pry bar are recommended. Now, to kick off the factory uninstall here, what we have to do is we're going to start on the passenger side, disconnecting the hanger brackets from the frame. Now, I actually think it's going to be easier to disconnect the brackets from the frame instead of the hangers from the brackets, just because it is a tight space and they are facing different directions, so it can be tough to slide that guy out. Grab a 10 millimeter socket. In some cases, you can use an impact gun, but I'm going to recommend a ratchet. Let's get started again on our passenger side, and everything I do over there, you'll repeat on the driver's side. First one on our passenger side, go over to the tip. Directly above it, there's your first hanger going to the frame. We have a 13 millimeter here and a 13 millimeter directly above it on the side. For the bottom one, I'm using an impact gun, and I'll switch over to the ratchet for the top. All right, now I'm gonna use my ratchet and a 13 socket to go directly above that and get the other one off. All right, it should get to a point where you can get it off by hand. Now, this next one is going to be on the outside of the vehicle here, directly above the muffler, so it's difficult to see. You basically want to start here at the edge, go a couple of inches in, follow that directly up onto the frame. Grab your 13 socket and get that off. Okay, bring that guy down and set it aside. Next up, we want to use our 13 socket to loosen up the clamp holding the muffler to the rest of the exhaust. With the clamp loosened up enough to disconnect those pipes, we're going to push the muffler forward to access one more bolt directly above it. I'm going to use a pry bar here to make life just a little easier, but you could do this by hand if it's lubricated. All right, so as you can see, one more bolt holding on this big hanger bracket to the frame, which was directly above the muffler, which is why we had to push it forward. Keep in mind, once you take this 13 millimeter bolt off, the muffler will be free, so you want to have a hand on it to really support it and bring it down. Bring this guy off, make sure you're disconnecting everything from the frame. All right, set it aside. Repeat this exact same process on the other side. So we got our factory muffler off of the passenger side of our 13 V6, and it's on the table here next to our Roush muffler, and I want to take you through some similarities and differences between the two kits, and really from head to toe they're going to be completely different aside from the way that they fit. Now, of course, you can see the factory muffler is much larger in size compared to the bullet style muffler here from Roush. This is going to be a one-chambered muffler, which is going to allow a lot of that airflow to go through without any restriction, unlike your factory muffler, which is very restrictive, which is why that sound is minimized. While this Mustang is not a V8, you can never make a V6 sound like a V8. The V6 is still a muscle car. We still want it to sound a little bit more aggressive, and that factory muffler being so baffled on the inside is going to minimize that sound output. This guy here, being that one chamber, is going to open things up. It's also made from a 409 stainless steel, so it's a little bit better of a quality of material there. Great for guys located in wintry weather areas, so it's going to hold up in the long run, especially with corrosion and rust resistance. Now, the nice thing about this is it comes with new tips. The factory tip isn't really much of anything. It's just that bare metal material with a slash cut. It's not really double walled, it's not thick or really polished in any way, but this tip here is going to add that stealthy look to the rear end of the S197. This is a black powder coated tip. Because it has that black powder coated finish on top, it adds to the corrosion and rust resistance of the 409 stainless, so it's going to beef up the durability. The tip is really where you want that appearance to stay the same. You don't want this guy to rust out, so the coating on top is going to add stealth, but also protect it for the long run. Because the size is so different, the install is going to be a lot easier than the uninstall process. You have a lot more room to work with, but we do have to transfer over those factory hanger brackets that'll connect to the frame, and they'll mount right onto the similar mounting positions here with the new hangers. So that's what we're going to do next. Let's get to it. Next up, I'm going to use a hanger removal tool to pop the isolators off of the factory hangers on the muffler. You can lubricate these with PB Blaster WD-40 if you wish. It might make life a little bit easier, but with this tool, you're just going to pinch and it comes right off. Let's do the back one as well. The back one's a little bit different. It's a dual, so we want to slide that guy to the front. If you can pop that guy off, the other one has that little nipple at the end, so we're going to grab the removal tool and pinch that off just like that. Now we can transfer them over, making sure they're in the exact same orientation as they were on the factory one. All right, so I'm moving the back hanger bracket over first, making sure it's oriented the same exact way. Easy to slide on. Now we can do the front. Front one may be a little bit more challenging, but making sure it's in the same orientation, you want to slide this guy on. Again, lubricating it may help a little bit. Once you have that on, we can install our muffler. All right, first step here, make sure you have a clamp on the end. Again, on our passenger side, we're going to slide this guy up. Just connect it to the pipe. We're not tightening that clamp down just yet. You want to connect this back hanger to the appropriate section on the frame, just like that, and have one of the 13mm bolts in your hand. Thread that guy up through. That's going to help hold the entire assembly in place. We'll come back and tighten that down in a minute. Let's reconnect all of the brackets first. For the front one above the tips, we have to actually pop this guy off to slide this bracket into the hole in the frame. Just makes life a little bit easier. So I lubricated that, popping that off. We're bringing this up, and we're going to tuck it into the frame like that. Bring it back down and reconnect it to the hanger. Takes 2 seconds just to make sure it gets done properly. Now we can put the bolts through. Grab another 13, put it back through the top. All right, we got one more we need to put in place on the other side, and then we'll tighten these guys down. Now, this next one is a little hard to see, just like it was taking the muffler off, but because this one's a lot smaller, we get a little bit of a view on it right here. So you want to go up above the muffler, line up that hole, thread it in by hand. At this point, we can start tightening stuff down. Grab your 13 socket, go right back up there and tighten that one down. Now we can hit the bottom 13 on the same bracket. Now we can hit the 2 on the front bracket. All right, we got one more directly up top. Next up, we can grab our tip. Make sure you have one of the flat clamps inserted over top. Slide that guy directly on. Make sure it's aligned properly and straight. Grab a 15 socket and tighten that down. Last but not least, on the passenger side, let's put our ball clamp back into position. Make sure it's evenly on both sides, the factory exhaust and the new axle back, and then grab your 13 socket and tighten this down. Okay, repeat that exact same process on the other side. That's gonna wrap up my review and install for the Roush Axleback with black tips, available for the 11 to 14 V6 Mustang. Get yours right here at AmericanTrucks.com.